The U.S. Navy's aircraft carriers cost $13.3 billion each to build. They carry over 75 warplanes. They sail with a crew of roughly 5,000 men and women. Enemies track them across every ocean on Earth. And yet, the most powerful weapons on board are the ones nobody ever shows you. Not the jets, not the bombs. The weapons that have already stopped wars before they started. The weapons that make enemy missiles vanish before they even get close. The weapons that can fry a drone out of the sky without firing a single bullet. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the top 5 hidden weapons on U.S. aircraft carriers that the mainstream media almost never talks about. You've seen the footage. A carrier cuts through the ocean. Jets roar off the deck. Crowds cheer. But here's the thing most people never ask. What happens when those jets are not in the air? What happens when an enemy missile is already in the air, screaming toward the ship at the speed of sound? What is actually standing between a $13 billion warship and total destruction? The answer is a system of weapons so advanced, so layered, and so quietly powerful, most Americans have never heard of them. And every single one of them was battle-tested in real combat recently. Let's get into it. If you are proud of what the men and women of the U.S. Navy are doing to protect this country, go ahead and type the word proud in the comments right now. Let them know America is watching. Weapon 1. The SSDS, the Invisible Brain. Let's start with something that doesn't look like a weapon at all, because you cannot see it, touch it, or point to it on the deck of a carrier. But without it, every other weapon on this list would be completely useless. It is called the SSDS, the Ship Self-Defense System, and it is the automated brain that controls the entire defensive battle of an aircraft carrier. Here is why this matters. An enemy anti-ship missile traveling at the speed of sound gives a carrier crew less than 30 seconds of warning before it hits. No human being can react fast enough to identify the threat, calculate the intercept, select the right weapon, and fire, all in under 30 seconds. It is simply not possible. So the SSDS does it automatically. The moment a threat is detected, whether it is a missile, a drone, or a fast-moving aircraft, the SSDS analyzes it in milliseconds. It classifies the threat, it picks the right weapon from the carrier's full defensive arsenal, and it fires. All without a single human pressing a button. The crew sets the rules of engagement, and the machine handles the fight. What makes this genuinely jaw-dropping is the layered kill chain it manages. The outer layer handles threats up to 30 miles away. If that layer misses, the next layer engages at around 6 miles. And if anything somehow gets past both of those, the final layer fires at under 1 mile. 3 concentric rings of death, all coordinated automatically by one system that never blinks, never panics, and never hesitates. The SSDS is installed across both Nimitz-class and Ford-class carriers. It integrates every close-in weapon on the ship into one unified network. It is not flashy, it has no footage on the news, but it is the reason why no U.S. aircraft carrier has ever been sunk by an enemy missile in the modern era. Weapon 2, the ANSL Q-32 Electronic Warfare Suite. Now here is where things get truly interesting, because this next weapon doesn't fire bullets, doesn't launch missiles, and makes no noise whatsoever, and yet it may be the single most important defensive system on the entire ship. It is called the ANSL Q-32, and its job is to make enemy missiles miss. Here is how. Every anti-ship missile in the world uses some form of radar or infrared signal to find and track its target. It locks onto the carrier's electromagnetic signature, basically, the electronic footprint the ship gives off, and it follows that signal straight to the hull. The ANSL Q-32 intercepts that signal mid-flight. It jams it. It spoofs it. It sends back a fake signal that tells the missile the carrier is somewhere it isn't. The missile follows the fake signal, and flies right past the ship into empty ocean. Carriers carry a special version of this system, the V4 variant, which actually runs 2 full jamming arrays simultaneously, one on each side of the ship. This covers the full 360 degrees around the carrier, so no matter what direction a missile comes from, the system is already pointing at it. And now it has been upgraded even further. The latest version, called SUIP Block 3, uses gallium nitride antenna technology. That is the same advanced material used in the most modern military radars in the world. It does not just jam one missile at a time, it can jam multiple incoming threats simultaneously from multiple directions in real time. As of October 2024, Lockheed Martin received $113 million in new contracts specifically to continue producing and upgrading these systems for the U.S. fleet. Japan actually became the first foreign country to purchase this system, which tells you everything about how trusted and valued it is. So before any missile ever gets close enough for a gun to fire, this system has already been working to make it miss. Silent, invisible, lethal in a completely different way. Here is a question for you, and think about this carefully. If you had to choose just one of these systems to protect a carrier, which would it be so far, the automated SSDS brain or the invisible jamming shield? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. Now, what we've covered so far protects the carrier from the outside. But weapons 3, 4, and 5, these are the ones that physically intercept and destroy threats that somehow get through the first 2 layers. And number 3 is one that almost nobody talks about, even though it sits right there on the deck. Before we go further, please take 1 second to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Over 98% of people watching right now are not subscribed. It costs you nothing. It means everything to us. Hit that subscribe button and let's keep going. Weapon 3. The RIM-116 Rolling Airframe Missile. When most people think about the carrier's close-in defenses, they picture one thing: the Phalanx CIWS, that white dome-shaped turret that looks like a robot from a science fiction movie. It fires 20mm rounds at 4,500 per minute. It is iconic. It gets all the camera time. But there is another system sitting right next to it on the deck that is actually more capable, and it almost never gets mentioned. It is called the RIM-116 Rolling Airframe Missile, and its nickname tells you exactly what it does. It rolls. Like a rifle bullet fired from a rifled barrel, the RIM-116 spins around its own axis as it flies. That spin stabilizes its flight path with extraordinary precision. No other U.S. Navy missile operates this way, and that precision makes it devastating. Each carrier carries 2 launchers, each loaded with 21 missiles. That is 42 missiles ready to fire at any moment. The range goes out to roughly 6 miles, far beyond what the Phalanx guns can reach. So while the Phalanx is your absolute last line inside 1 mile, the rolling airframe missile catches threats at the 6-mile mark, the layer before your guns even need to wake up. What makes it genuinely clever is the seeker technology. It uses 3 different targeting modes simultaneously. It has an infrared seeker that tracks the heat of an incoming missile. It has a radio frequency seeker that tracks the missile's radar emissions. And it has a passive radio frequency mode for threats that try to hide. 3 eyes on every target at once. That is extremely difficult to fool. The RIM-116 has also been upgraded in recent years with the Block 2 configuration, giving it improved low-altitude performance and a longer effective range against sea-skimming missiles, the kind that fly just meters above the water to avoid radar. China and Iran have invested heavily in sea-skimming anti-ship missiles for exactly this reason. The rolling airframe missile is the direct answer to that threat. It sits quietly on the deck in a box launcher. Nobody films it. But it is the middle layer of the carrier's kill chain, and it is one of the reasons adversaries think very carefully before targeting a U.S. carrier. Weapon 4. the ESSM Block II, the supersonic interceptor. Now we are moving to the outer defensive ring. And this is where the weapons stop being defensive in a passive sense and start being genuinely aggressive interceptors. The ESSM, the Evolved Sea Sparrow missile, is the carrier's medium-range missile defense system. It can engage threats up to 30 miles away. It flies at Mach 4, 4 times the speed of sound. And its latest version, the Block II, represents an upgrade so significant that calling it the same missile is almost misleading. Here is the key difference. The original ESSM used what engineers call semi-active guidance. The ship's radar had to continuously illuminate the target, basically shine a radar beam on it the entire time the missile was in flight. The missile would follow the reflected signal. This meant the ship was constantly broadcasting its position, and it could only engage 1 or 2 targets at a time because each one needed a dedicated radar beam. The Block II changes everything. It has an active guidance seeker built directly into the missile itself. Once the ESSM Block II is fired, it finds the target on its own. The ship doesn't need to keep illuminating it. The missile goes out, activates its own radar, finds the threat, and destroys it. The ship can immediately track and fire at the next target. That means a carrier can engage multiple threats simultaneously from multiple directions. In a world where China and Iran are building salvo attack doctrine, throwing dozens of missiles at once to overwhelm a carrier's defenses, the shift from single-target to multi-target engagement is not just an upgrade. It is a fundamental change in defensive capability. This was not theoretical. These missiles were used in real combat. During operations in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden from late 2023 through 2024, Carrier Strike Group ships expended ESSM and other interceptors in live engagements against Houthi missile and drone attacks. Nearly 400 total munitions were fired across the fleet during that period. The systems worked. Ships came home. No carriers were lost. The ESSM Block II is quad-packed, meaning 4 missiles fit inside a single launch cell. That maximizes the number of interceptors a carrier can carry without taking up additional deck space. It is compact, powerful, multi-target capable, and already combat-proven. Quick question. After everything we've covered so far, which weapons layer do you think is the most impressive? The outer missile shield, the electronic jamming, or the automated brain coordinating it all? There is no wrong answer. Leave your thoughts below. I genuinely want to know what you think. Weapon 5. Drone-killing drones, Coyote and Roadrunner M. Everything we've covered so far has been in service for years. This final weapon was only publicly confirmed in 2025, and it may be the most significant shift in carrier defense since the Phalanx was introduced. The threat changed first. Starting in late 2023 in the Red Sea, Houthi forces began launching swarms of cheap drones at U.S. Navy ships. Not 1 or 2 drones, swarms. Dozens at a time. The problem with swarms is mathematical. When you are firing missiles that cost $1.5 million each to shoot down a drone that cost a few $100s to build, the attacker wins financially, even if you shoot down every single one. You run out of expensive missiles before they run out of cheap drones. The U.S. Navy recognized this immediately, and the answer they came up with is genuinely brilliant in its simplicity. You fight drones with drones. Enter the Coyote interceptor from Raytheon and the Roadrunner M from Anduril Industries. Both are turbojet-powered drone interceptors specifically built to destroy incoming low-cost attack drones. They are small. They are fast. They carry a small warhead that detonates a fragment field, a cloud of shrapnel that shreds an incoming drone mid-flight. But here is the detail that makes this truly remarkable. Some versions of these interceptors, particularly the Roadrunner M, can return to the ship after a mission. They fly out, neutralize a threat, fly back, land, refuel, and relaunch. A reusable missile that completely destroys the cost math that was making drone swarms such an attractive weapon for U.S. adversaries. Both systems are already combat-proven. The Coyote was tested and validated by the U.S. Army and Special Operations Forces before coming to the Navy. These are not experimental prototypes. They are real weapons that have already been used. For carrier strike groups operating in contested areas like the South China Sea or the Persian Gulf, where drone swarm tactics are now a genuine threat doctrine for adversaries, having a low-cost, reusable, autonomous interceptor layer changes the defensive equation entirely. This is the newest addition to the carrier's arsenal. Most Americans have never heard of it. But it was quietly confirmed in 2025, and it is already being added to carrier strike group deployments. The 5 hidden weapons are laid out. But there is one final thing worth understanding about how they all work together. Final wrap. A U.S. aircraft carrier is not just a floating airfield. It is a layered fortress designed so that an enemy missile has to defeat not one system, not 2, but 5 separate and independent kill layers before it ever reaches the hull. The electronic warfare suite jams and spoofs the missile at a distance. If it gets through that, the ESSM Block 2 intercepts it at 30 miles. If it somehow survives that, the rolling airframe missile engages at 6 miles. And if it clears that layer, the Phalanx and SSDS automated systems fire at under 1 mile. And now, layered alongside all of this, drone-killing drones patrol the perimeter, hunting swarm threats before they ever reach that first line. Each system compensates for the weaknesses of the others. No single point of failure can sink the ship. And sitting above all of it, coordinating every engagement, making every decision faster than any human can, the SSDS brain. $13.3 billion builds the ship. But it is these 5 systems, the ones you never see on the evening news, that keep it alive. The men and women operating these systems do not get press conferences. They do not get victory parades. They stand watch in the middle of the ocean, surrounded by adversaries who spend billions of their own money trying to find a way through these defenses. And so far, they have not found one. Last question, and this one is simple. After watching this, do you feel more confident in the U.S. Navy's ability to protect its carriers? Leave a yes or no below. Let's see where everyone stands. Conclusion. These 5 systems are the real story of U.S. carrier defense. Not the jets, the invisible shields around them. If this gave you a new perspective on how the Navy actually protects its most valuable assets, hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a video like this. The next video covers something even most military analysts get wrong about modern carrier strike groups, and you will not want to miss it.